out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnop.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Happy Hump-Day here on the program. Hope you're okay. We've got to the middle of the week. That's great. Not feeling great today. It's the first under the weather edition of the program. So I apologize if that comes across. But yeah, I felt better than I do today. Coming up today at 6:35, Keon Brown will join us, former Radford Highlander. We'll talk a myriad of topics. We're loaded for bear today. Damen Sordlet, the Virginia Tech football beat writer, will join us. David Teal, Mike Burnop. Good show. Tomorrow, Dwight Vick, Andy Bitter, and Marty and Rags, Marty Smith and Steve Ragsdale. So we have a really good finish to the week. West Durham scheduled on Friday as well. So we're glad to have you with us, as always. Join us in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. We'd love to hear from you. Also hit us up on the professional door text line, 391-0788, 540-391-0788. Thank you, Prometheus. Well, you know, we're family. So I've been having some health concerns. And so I went down and had to get a shot yesterday. And, you know, they tell you, you know, the doctors will tell you, hey, you know, this might affect you a certain way. And I'm like, yeah, I never have a problem with that. So I had it, started heading back home because I had to go down to Roanoke. And boy, I tell you what, right before I got to my exit 114 here to come to Reiner, I was, you just start sweating, you know, you start getting the shit, you know, you're just like, what in the world did they do? So then I was just, and then it's one of those, you know how it is when you feel bad, right? You know, you need to rest. Like, you know, you need to lay down. And then you try to lay down, but you feel so bad you can't really rest. You know, does that make any sense? Have you had that happen? So that's kind of the way I was yesterday. And it pretty much feels a lot similar this morning, but we're here. We're muddling through because that's what we do here on BDST on YouTube. I got good news coming up here in a second. We've got the T-shirt mock-ups. That's right. We've got your show T-shirt mock-ups, and we're going to go over those here. All right. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Family Fencing, for sponsoring our studios here. They have a no-dig installation system, locally owned. Finance options are available. 540-200-8294 is how you can hit them up, or visit them at familyfencingnrv.com. Go see Jason Green in the game. And do it today so you won't regret it. McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Join us there, as many of you do. It's always a lot of fun, and we hear from a lot of those folks. Thanks to Mark Hundley for his support of the program. I mentioned Travis Williams, Professional Door, BDST text line. They do garage doors, residential, commercial, been in business 38 years. Route 100 in Dublin, right across from New River Community College. Get them to check out your garage door, replace it, whatever you need. Thanks to Lara Ramsey, National Bank member FDIC, exclusive banking partner of the program, also sponsors the Fourth and Goal Show. Thanks to the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford. We're getting a lot of responses for this week's BDST fan question of the week. How many ACC wins do you believe Virginia Tech's going to end up with? Charles Lee and all the folks at Little River Heating and Air, 295 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Heating and air. So heating's coming up. Although it was warm yesterday, kind of felt summerish, didn't it? The last couple of days, which is fine. And we are presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. So we thank everybody up there, Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller, for being our presenting sponsor. And as always, thanks to you. Paul says, I get the sweats if I eat at McDonald's, the McSweats. I'm pretty good about that. Fast food wise, I don't do a lot of fast food anymore. The one weakness I have, and I don't mind giving them a free plug, because when you're in the mood for a Bojangles Cajun filet biscuit, I'm telling you, it's something special. The Cajun filet biscuit is something special. When you're in the mood for one, that is. Get the packet of mayonnaise and put on there. I mean, that's the real deal right there. Hey, Roddy, good morning. Good to see you in here. Be sure to like and subscribe. Remember our new motto, trying to get now to 1,000, that we've reached 500. If one person who's subscribed gets one other person to subscribe, we can hit 1,000 pretty quickly. Fairly easy formula. So we're going to roll with that. So please help us out in that regard. So we'll be good to go for a while here on the show. Yeah, biscuit's great. I tell you what, the Cajun filet biscuit, when you're in a mood for one, you go by there and you get one. There's just something about that. And you got to get the sweet tea. Don't. And somebody help me explain this. I need help. Why in the world is there unsweetened tea? Can someone explain why only in the South we get it right with tea? And I'm not talking about your herbal warm teas that you have in the winter. Maybe they have different flavors. Maybe you take it because your throat's a little scratchy, or, it's kind of a nosh. I'm not talking about that type of tea, all right? I'm not lumping specialty teas into this. But why in the world would you have an event and one of the drinks is unsweetened iced tea, sitting right beside the pitcher of water or the container of water that it tastes identical to? So basically what they should have on the labels instead of water and unsweetened tea is water and brown water. Can someone please explain the advantages of unsweetened tea? I just want to know. No, but you don't enjoy it, though. So somebody said with diabetes, but it doesn't have any flavor to it, right? Does tea have any flavor? See, I'm not talking about the flavored teas, because it's a regional thing. In the South, there's sweet tea. You're not going to get anything but sweet tea. You go to a certain part of the cutoff, there's no sweet tea, and they think you're ridiculous because you want it. All right? I mean, can you enjoy tea if it doesn't have any flavor to it? Anyway, but boy, when you want a Bojangles biscuit, man, you get that Cajun filet. It is a special thing. That's about all I eat. I don't really stop at any fast food places I think of anymore. I used to. I'm not begrudging people who do at all. I'm just saying I don't really do that. Now, do we consider Chick-fil-A fast food? I guess so. I do like, now, obviously you're going to like Chick-fil-A. the number one. I'm giving a lot of free plug this morning, but anyway, everybody knows Chick-fil-A is good. That's probably the one I guess you would lump it into that I go to. But I'm not really a drive-through guy, stopping and getting a greasy something somewhere. No. All right, without further ado, we have our T-shirt mock-ups. Are we ready for this? And let me minimize over here. There we go. All right. Give me a second here. Let me find it. And I want to get your opinion. This is all about your opinion because you'd be the ones getting them. There you go. What do you think? Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel, thank you so much. You see what he's done there. We went with the gray. I think that was yesterday. About 90% of you said that gray was the thing that you wanted. And I think those look really nice. We've got the big logo on the back. Can everybody see that okay? I hope so. We do have the QR code so you can scan somebody's shirt and subscribe to the channel. I think that looks nice. And then right there on the front, on the left, we've got the secondary logo, but it's done in the same color. So what does everybody think? Everybody like those? Because I believe that's what we're going to go with right there. And it's going to be a high quality of shirt as well, so you wouldn't be purchasing anything that's cheap, and the price point is going to be very reasonable. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to gouge people. I mean, you go to events and you go places and you see T-shirts for $30. Like it's a T-shirt. What's happening? But there it is. There's the mock-ups, and I think they did a great job, and we appreciate Brandon for coming through and getting that done. But there you go. That's what it's likely going to look like. So we'll let you know when those become available, and we'll figure out all the other things that go along with it. But there it is. Pretty happy with that, to say the least. And I thank you. You're the ones who helped. Remember when we started talking about it, you said, hey, yeah, put the logo on the back. You don't want a big logo on the front. Yeah, you're right. That's not really the trendy thing anymore. So there you go. There you go. There's our shirts. So thank you, Brandon. Yesterday, I get a bunch of texts throughout the day. People were showing me that, and I thank you for giving us credit. Yesterday, Bruce Arians was on Pat McAfee's show, and they were talking all sorts of stuff, and they started talking about Virginia Tech and things that it's not Mike. I don't get credit for it. Mike Burnop told us 2 weeks ago. Remember when Burnop said, "Yeah, Bruce is going to be involved. He's not going to be." He's not going to be a GM or anything like that, but he is going to be somebody who's going to guide and advise because he loves Virginia Tech and he wants to. And then sure enough, yesterday he said that's exactly what he's going to do on the McAfee show. And like we've been telling you, it felt like it's going to be the GM first, and he reiterated that yesterday. And I still don't like that. Thank you, Reggie. Appreciate that. But I don't know. It's odd. It depends on who's doing it, who's making the decision. I feel better about it if Bruce Arians is going to kind of help with the structuring of that, and maybe he'll help with the transition from the GM to whoever the coach is going to be as well. Wouldn't surprise me if ultimately Bruce Arians is on the committee. This is just me reading between the lines. He doesn't mean he has to be in a formal setting, but I could see that. I'll ask Burnop about that at 8:00. But I think that's good news. And, we did kind of talk about this before the national people started getting, just like on Saturday, I got like a dozen, 15 texts and messages. People were like, hey, they're talking about what you've been talking about on your show for 2 weeks about the money that had been raised, the $50 million. It's actually $55 million. But I think it's good. Yeah, exactly, Prometheus. Bruce Arians has always been there to help. He's always wanted to help. He doesn't need the money. He's done with the professional part of his football life, but this is something that you do to give back. to your alma mater. And he is the perfect guy to have involved in all this. So that's good news. I think for everybody in Blacksburg, that's really good news. Really good news. So it was good to see it show up on a national broadcast yesterday. But that's going to happen. Obviously, the big news yesterday, Mike Gundy becomes the third major college football coach to be fired. Sorry. UCLA, Virginia Tech, and now Oklahoma State. 1 and 2 are the Cowpokes. I talked to my good friend Todd Grantham, who's the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State yesterday. He says the guys will play hard. It's unfortunate that it happened. He was the second longest tenured. I didn't know that. I guess it makes sense, but he was the second longest tenured FBS head coach in his 21st years down in Stillwater. Kirk Ferentz at Iowa is number 1. And they didn't look good. I think Tulsa beat them down at Stillwater for the first time in like 70-something years, something like that, this past week. He was not offered the opportunity to remain through the end of the season, according to the athletic director. And he will receive, though, don't feel too bad for him, he will receive the full sum of the $15 million buyout outlined in his contract. They're not going to haggle. In other words, it's a good faith thing. You've been loyal to us. You're one of us. So you're going to get your money. And that was set, his contract was set to run through 2028. Here's another one of those buyouts, right, that we've been talking about. Doug Meacham will serve as the interim coach. They play Baylor this weekend. So that's already the third Power 4 firing, and we're not even a quarter way through the season. Just got through a quarter way through the season, right? Or I guess 33% through the season. I'm thinking NFL terms since there's 12 games. So we're a third through the season, and we've already had 3 head coaches let go. And all 3 programs not living up to hopes and expectations. It just shows you the pressure. I think Gundy, it kind of felt like he knew the writing was on the wall if they didn't get off to a good start this year, just like, Brent Pry. Deshaun Foss at UCLA probably had no idea because he just kind of felt like that was his thing. But, and there may be more here. You look at what's going on Billy Napier at Florida. I mean, and you hate that part of it, but these guys have a lot of money. They're never going to be hurting for money. They never have to work another day in their lives. So it's not like they're going to be out on the street. But Gundy is gone down at Oklahoma State. Yeah, 21 years. That's nuts at one place. It is. Yeah, I know, Mark. Everybody brings up Jeff King's name. I guess, you'd have to ask Jeff if that's what he wants to do. Would he want to come back to the crazy world of college athletics and college football? Maybe that's exciting to him. We don't know. You just have to speculate with a guy like Jeff. He's doing a great job climbing the ladder, learning the trade in NFL front offices. But I don't know what his aspirations may be. Maybe he would like to be in on this new aspect of Virginia Tech football, this new structure. I don't know. Yeah, I think they did almost win the Big 12 last year. Jimmy, you're my Big 12 guy. How did Oklahoma State do last year in the Big 12? Paul says after 21 years, you should get the end of the year. Yeah, I read that 2 ways, Paul. It felt like to me that he may have been – I don't know if he was ever asked. I think they had made the decision not to let him finish. But, here's your consolation prize. You're going to get all your buyout, and we're not going to fight you. You don't have to worry about getting your lawyers involved. You're going to get the $15 million. So at that point, Gundy was like, okay, all right. So maybe that's how that worked, just reading between the lines. Oh, I did it again. Sorry, I haven't put the thing up. There we go. Maybe that's how that worked. I don't know. Hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. But I'm guessing that's probably the conditions of it. Like, I think he, regardless of what you think of him, he had the mullet and he did the famous, hey, I'm a man, I'm 40, the great memed speech that you see everywhere. I think the guy was good for college football. He was a personality, he was a guy that he was a personality, and he was a lot of fun. I know my good friend Dave Hunsiker, who's the voice at Oklahoma State, loved spending time with him. I know he's not feeling good today, obviously. Morris says, he's a man, go after him. I always liked Gundy and his mullet. He may become my Palm Coast neighbor. Yeah, he could. Because I had a lot of people hit me up on the professional door text line, would I think Mike Gundy would be a candidate here? Would he want to be? Would you want him to be? Maybe. He might be that kind of guy. And I don't know whether he'd want to, if he'd have the energy. The motivation's not there financially. And I don't think Tech's going to go that route. I'm not promoting that at all. If the Florida coaches let go, that's two good SEC schools that will pull candidates from Virginia Tech job. Yeah, I think Billy Napier, unless they turn it around pretty quickly, is going to be dismissed. Yeah. You see some of the, the pundits around college football talking about those wealthy donors down there, and they're starting to organize. And when they start to organize, that means one thing. That means they're starting to talk gathering dollars for potential buyout. I mean, that's what that is. Florida's really struggling. I think they're off this week. Is that right? Let me look here. Yeah, they're off this week, so they don't play. So we'll see. But yeah, that could be a trouble situation there pretty soon. Everybody's kind of watching that one. It's kind of, I think he's risen now to the very top of the speculative might lose my job soon heap. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to worry about Dan Mullen going to Florida. Well, I'm going to stick with what I know. I saw 4 lists yesterday that had Dan Mullen as the number 1 Virginia Tech candidate, and I've been told he has no interest. So we'll see. Can things change? Things can change. But my coaching source, who knows Mullen very well because they share the same agent, said he loves Vegas. He loves living there. His wife loves living there. But sure, things can change, obviously. He broadcast in Blacksburg. I think people are basing that because he was here. When you're on a television crew and you come to a place to broadcast, you're going to talk about how nice the place is. Everybody's like, hey, remember what he said about Blacksburg? Well, what's he going to say? Hey, Wes, I'm Dan Mullen. Boy, Blacksburg. He's not going to do that. I think he's a good football coach, but I'm just going to go unless that changes. If I get information that it changes, I'll let you know. But I think probably somebody who knows the guy's agent probably has a little insider info. But hey, that's just me. How do I see the North Carolina State Virginia Tech game going? We'll get into that as we get further in the week. We'll get into that today with Burnop. There's an opportunity there. I don't think NC State's by any means. You don't look at NC State and go, boy, that's an unwinnable game. I think Tech's going to score. I don't think their defense is very good at all. North Carolina State. I mean, Virginia had them beat. Then the horrible decision and then the panic pass got intercepted at the goal line and ended that game. But if they get off to a good start, sure, they can play. They can play with NC State. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be in any way, shape, or form this automatic L I mean, I don't know how Tech's mindset's going to be going on the road now and playing what will be their first true road game. You know, they've had the luxury of spending almost a month at home. Didn't go well for them, but they've been at home. And now they have to go to an opposing fan base. I know that you can technically probably include the South Carolina game as an opposing fan base because there was a lot more people there than South Carolina fans than Tech fans. Does Napier have a pulse? I'm in UF country down here, Morris says, and Napier doesn't have a seat. It's already burned up. Yeah, that feels correct in 100%, Morris. May not be much more he can do. May not be much more he can do. Yeah, he is. Running back is very good. The Smothers kid is an extremely, extremely talented running back, and that'll be the challenge for Tech's defense, which has had trouble stopping the run. You want the Bailey kid to be the guy to control that game. He throws a lot of interceptions, but you got to stop Smothers. If you want to have any shot, you got to stop him, and that'll be the whole focus of that defense. All right, so I want to point something out here that Wayne actually introduced me to. Wayne has jumped in chat. See how Wayne's name is green? I don't know if it shows up on the screen as green, but when we hit 500 subscribers, apparently it unleashed ways for people by choice only if you want to support the program by like purchasing a badge for like, what is it, $1, $2, or super chat. I don't know. I haven't looked it all up. I'll share it with you, but it's just part of the perks of hitting a certain number. And I see that Wayne's name is green on there. Is that a badge besides your name, Wayne? That looks pretty cool. Wayne says, I saw the On3 reporter thought he had broken the Pat McAfee in the news about Bruce Arens going to be a consultant on coaching's job, something that your show, BDST, broke a week ago, late to the game. Thank you. Yeah. Well, you know, it's what we do. Well, I don't take credit for that. That was all Mike Burnop. Mike told us, actually it was like, 2 weeks ago. Mike told us that. It may have been longer than 2 weeks ago. So for a small monthly fee, okay, thank you, Wayne. Thank you so much. And that's always by choice. It's still free to subscribe. The show is still free. But if you want to help out with the cost of the show, thank you. I don't know what it entails, but I'll have details for you. Keon Brown joins us here in about 5 minutes or so. So, yeah, no shocking news to those of you who watch the program. It is kind of fun, though, to see the national media talking about things after we've brought them up here. That does make me feel good. Especially Saturday when I got all these, apparently it was on game day, I don't know, and they had somebody on there talking about the job, the 10 donors and the 50. They had their number was off by 5 million, but you're welcome, America. So, yeah, that was cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. If Virginia Tech needed to remove any sports, which ones would you remove? That's tough. We've had to do that at Radford. I don't know. I don't know which way they would go there. I don't know since I'm not privy to the budgets and the costs that go into it, there's no worse feeling in college athletics when you have to eliminate a program. We just had to eliminate our tennis programs at Radford. It makes you feel really, just as a department, it's a new low. You just feel so bad. So I don't know. I think it's coming, though, Paul. As a matter of fact, I heard that last week. There's going to be some announcements made. Yeah, it's going to happen. Wayne says it's under perks where you subscribe. I decided to give because you supplied me free entertainment. Oh, well, thank you, Wayne. I know you don't ask for money. And no, I never will. I never will. But it can go to Diet Pepsi Fund. Well, that's a pretty big budget. Hope you took out another mortgage on your house. So, yeah, that's just one of those choices. If you want to support the program in a different way, do what Wayne did. I didn't realize it. So I guess when you subscribe now, it shows perks because we hit 500. Thank you. Thank you. I'm still learning all this as I go here. So Keon Brown, Damen Sordlet, David Teal, and Mike Burnop today. Mike got back. He and Bill got back late last night. And then tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of fun. Andy Bitter, and then we've got Marty and Rags on take 2. By the way, we tested Steve Ragsdale's camera, and it works. We got him all set up for tomorrow. So he's good to go. He is good to go. Yeah, these sports do. They're a lot more expensive than you think, and they don't bring in any revenue, Prometheus. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, and that's the bind that you're in with the reality of maximum scholarships and revenue sharing. It's just, it's a world and this is what I'm talking about with Jeff King. It's like he's in the NFL, man, and he's got a good job, and he's got a gig that may end up turning into something else in a very stable business. Last time I checked, and then you coming back to this, you know. But again, it's going to be personal choice. Every decision you make is your personal choice. So we will see. Paul says, I think you could assign a chat moderator. You could bestow that on Wayne since he was the first to purchase. Okay, Bob, thank you. You are on the cutting edge of sports information. Heck, most of the national media still thinks Mike's grill is open. Wayne says, no, not a good idea. You don't want me as the mod. You don't want me as the mod. But see, I had the thing about it was I didn't even know that was there. And Wayne was sending me to, hey, do you realize that you have this now? No, what is it? Yeah, you can purchase things. Oh, thank you. And obviously, that's only if anybody ever wants to contribute. All right. I'll never have any expectation for anybody to pay for the show. Except for our sponsors. All right, joining us on the program right now, there he is. He's ready to rock and roll. He's got a big morning coming up. He's got to get in and out today because he's teaching the youth of America. His name is Keon Brown. KB, what's up, man?
Rick Watson, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you? How's the fam, first of all? I don't ask enough. How's the little girl and how's the wife? How's everybody?
Well, the little girl's a Tasmanian devil. She drives us crazy. She's 2 years old. Anybody who ever had a 2-year-old knows exactly what I'm talking about. And my son, who I actually had my freshman year, Rafford, celebrated his 12th birthday yesterday. So we
really?
enjoyed him a bit. Luckily for him, he was out of school yesterday. It was a holiday. And we went to King's Dominion Saturday. And then yesterday we went to a restaurant and he opened up some gifts. One of the gifts was tickets to the Commanders versus Seahawks. Yeah. Sunday Night Football, November 2nd. We'll be in the building. He was excited about that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think you told me you were going to go to another game. So you've already been to one, right? You went to the home opener.
Went to the home opener. It was sold out. That was the first game that I ever went to that was sold out. All of the momentum from last year obviously carrying over to this year. Starting off 2-1 right now. Not bad. Should be 3-1. Come the end of this week because Atlanta, or the start of the week, I should say, since it's Sunday, Atlanta, we should beat those guys. Nobody's scared of the Chiefs no more. We've got those guys coming up. I think our second loss should probably be the Chargers, but we'll see.
Chargers are good.
Yeah, they're really good.
I'm starting to think Jim Harbaugh might be the best coach in the NFL. He's just a good football coach. He's really good.
I'm always going to give Mike Tomlin the nod for that because it's crazy how long he's been coaching and never had a losing record.
It is crazy.
It blows my mind
That's an unbelievable stat.
It is.
Yeah, it is. That might be the most impressive coaching stat ever.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's going to continue this year the way they're starting out.
So. All right, so let me ask you.
Yep.
We found out, and we've been talking about it. It looks now, now that Bruce Arians has said it, everybody will believe it. Tech's going to go the GM route. If you were running an athletic department, how do you see that? I guess it depends on the people, maybe the segue. Because my feeling has been you bring in the head coach, let him pick it out the GM. I know in college basketball, it's pretty much how it's gone. And every job that I've heard about that's added the GM position, the coach has brought in the GM personally.
Yes.
Just like at Radford. So how do you feel about the order of that, and how can that work?
I hate it because at the end of the day, that coach, whoever comes in, whoever Tech's going to hire is going to want to come in and do things his way, and rightfully so. It'll be his program, but now a piece of that will be gone. But on the flip side, you look at it half full, you actually come into the situation knowing that the GM was already in place. So it's one of those situations where if you accept the job, you already know that. So it's like, at least you have that going, right? You don't come in there blind and they don't do anything under the rug and say, oh, here's a GM, by the way. You actually know that GM is already going to be there, so you can actually prepare for that in advance. So at least you have that, but I still hate it because if I'm the head coach, I want my guy who I can relate to, who understands my schemes, my offense, my defense, the type of player that I want, the type of person that I want, not just athlete, the type of student that I want that's going to represent the football team on campus. I mean, that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm feeling if I'm the new coach coming in. But you got to take the good with the bad. Tech is a really good job to have if you can get that job. So there's still going to be coaches who want it and, you know, who will take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's still the way I feel about it. I mean, it's not set up. It's going to be set up like the NFL, but it's not the NFL. Yeah. You know, it's not like you have a GM who's in place that has so many connections across the annals of the NFL and then go find their guy. If you put somebody as a GM for the first time in a program's history, do they really have their guy, you know, depending on who it is? And that's where I think you're just creating a step that doesn't need to be there, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, when you compare college to the NFL, you can't really run it the same way, but there's similarities now with NIL. But at the end of the day, you know, those GMs in the NFL, like you said, already have those connections. So they go into that job knowing who they want to attack, because you usually have a new GM when they clear house, when they want
that's right,
a whole new coaching, you know, staff for your franchise. Just like Washington Commanders, we hire Adam Peters from the San Francisco 49ers. He comes in and just does things his way, and he brings in a hell of a staff and a hell of a head coach who's turned that franchise around in a snap of a finger. And you can tell that he did a good job because we picked up Dan Quinn late in the game, right? And he wasn't, you know, franchise's first choice. He was the best choice for the time. We were late hiring him, and he's done a good job so far. But Adam Peters, you know, was put in that position to be in position to make a great choice. And now Dan Quinn has turned the franchise around, and because of Adam Peters, and you make the right hire at GM, maybe things will trickle down. Maybe you'll see that in college somehow, some way.
And the only reason that's a great example you gave, because the only reason they got Quinn is because of the relationship Peters had with Quinn. They were and that's what I'm saying. I just don't know if that can happen the other way. I guess it can, but like you said, and especially college, these coaches don't have long. Their lifespan's not long. We've already seen that. You know, it's going to be a lot more firings. Gundy was an outlier with 21 years, but they don't have long to come in and make an impression. And then you've got to come in if you don't know the GM as well as you would like, and you may have somebody else in mind. I just think you're taking something away, because like you said, this is their program. And then he's going to come in, you know, whoever the AD ends up being is what's going on with the structure. It just kind of seems like Tech's diving in willingly to a structure that doesn't need to be in place like that. But
right. And then when there's a program that's just dying for relevance again, you're relevant right now for the wrong reasons. When you want to be relevant for being a program that a household name as you once were, you got to get this thing right, because it's just not been good for Tech football lately. There've been a little skibbit of hope between some of the coaches in the past few years, but it's not been much there. And you got to have Virginia Tech football relevant in college football, because the sport is better when Virginia Tech is good. You got to hire the right guy coming up. You just have to.
Keon Brown joining us on the program. We talk about a myriad of things. We're not really in hoop season yet, so we're kind of holding off on hoop, but jumping around college football. With those 3 firings, the pressure more than ever. We talk about it with the money involved and with everything else involved. I mean, we talked about the short life of some of these coaches. Bad decisions have been made by administrations, UCLA, Virginia Tech in particular. There's going to be a lot more. Have you ever seen it? I mean, you feel it because you follow college basketball as closely as anybody I know, and you know how these coaches are. They go in there. I mean, have you ever felt this much pressure on these coaches ever since in your lifetime following sports?
No, because NIL gives you access to talent immediately. You don't have to wait anymore. When transfers come in, you don't have to wait that year. Teams are expected to win now. And that's basketball, that's football. When you have access to the talent that you have access to, especially if you're looking at this from a mid-major level, you can win now. It is what it is. And as long as that's in place, you'll be looked at to win now. You talked about Clemson and, the firing and coaches. In some ways, there isn't pressure because if I'm Dabo Swinney, and I think you mentioned it yesterday, if you have a $60 million buyout, buy me out. Let's do it.
Let's go.
And Dabo is going to get another job somewhere. So just buy me out. Let's do it.
He would.
Let's see how it works out for me. Great. I'll be making $100 million between the Clemson contract, the buyout, and wherever I go next.
No, that's true. There's no more honeymoon period. There's no more coming in. I need to establish my program for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. There's no more of that. It's all okay. Here's your budget. How much did we spend? Let's go. Let's win. So you're right.
That on the hoop scene is two. One from last year and one that I think will happen this year. Last year, the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville has one of the best brands in college basketball.
Yep, they do.
They were awful a few years ago before Pat Kelsey came in, and he comes in the snap of a finger. They're back to relevancy in college basketball. Now they'll be a top 10 team in the country. Fast forward to this year, you have an NC State team who made the Final Four under Kevin Keatts. It was a miracle how they won the ACC tournament and then made that run a few years ago. And you can tell that the administration at NC State was waiting for NC State to just be bad again so they could fire Kevin Keatts. They fired him. They hire Will Wade from McNeese, who was formerly at LSU, who was formerly at VCU, who was formerly at Chattanooga. And now you'll see NC State as one of the best teams in the ACC, and I believe that they will make the tournament as well. But that's because of the access they have to the transfer portal. They'll come in and the snap of a finger turn that program around. NC State is going to be good in the ACC, just like Louisville was good in the ACC under year one under Pat Kelsey. You're just expected to win now because you're able to.
And you mentioned this, you expected it, and it's happening in college basketball with teams kind of poaching from mid-majors and finding talent. Yeah. Things have kind of leveled off. You're seeing it, I think, in college football a little bit too. Games are much more competitive now in conference, especially from the top dogs to the lower tier. It's kind of coming up, isn't it? It's kind of getting a little closer just because of the portal and the kind of talent that's out there and opportunities for guys who thought maybe they'd never play at the power level.
For sure. And guys are entering the portal for various reasons. But if you're a high major guy who don't get minutes, you enter the portal because you want to drop down the level so you can play more. Think Drew Pember at UNC Asheville, or you were a mid-major guy who is just dominating your league. And when you have to move up to a Power 4 conference, think Carlik Jones, right? So, yeah, it's a give and take for sure. But I like those two examples that I gave because they did it for the right reasons. I believe when Drew Pember, it was NIL there, so I think I'm sure he made some type of money at UNC Asheville, but it wasn't all about the money. He just wanted to play. And when he got to the Big South, he dominated. 3-time, I believe, Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Player of the Year, led those guys to the NCAA tournament. He checked off every box as an individual that you could. Carlik Jones, while he was at Radford before transferring to Louisville, Freshman of the Year, Big South Player of the Year, Big South Tournament MVP, hit the biggest shot in the history of Radford basketball. Your greatest call of all time, by the way. I'm going to throw that in there. And then you go to Louisville and you finish second in the ACC Player of the Year voting. So I love those examples when we're talking about the transfer portal because those guys do it the right way. The transfer portal is always filled with guys who just take bad advice from their parents, their trainers, their whatever it is, and say, you're averaging 2 points in the CAA. You should be playing somewhere else. They enter the transfer portal, have no film, and then they're stuck in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Who are still in the transfer portal from 2 years ago that won't finish college basketball, won't finish college football because they've taken bad advice. Yet, had they stayed at their previous college, they'd be college graduates right now. So it's a give and take, and that's the dark side of the transfer portal. But hey, you can enter it on your own off the strength of bad advice. but you better be careful about your decision because you could be stuck there and then not end up graduating.
Well, and the whole vibe around college coaches, but the money that's involved now, since it's professional sports, you have to become more of a professional mindset. It's not just about developing and teaching the sport to young people. It's about maintaining those egos and the effort, because people have said it on this show since we came back. I mean, they see it all over college football. You can tell when guys are dogging it. They don't care as much anymore because they're getting paid, and we're going to see it happen in college basketball as well.
Right, and when college basketball starts, I got a few games on the schedule already. When I'm at those coaches and those programs shoot around, I'm going to ask those coaches, how do you coach with the state of college basketball right now when you know that stats are monetary? If you have a player who comes into the season knowing if I average 14 and 7 rebounds, I can enter the transfer portal and make $25,000 more next season. How do you coach that? Because you know everybody on the team wants to average 14 and 7 so that they can get $25,000, right? There has to be role players. You cannot have a team without role players, but you know they all have the same personal end goal, and that's to make as much money as they possibly can while they have eligibility. So I cannot wait for the season to start because I'm literally going to ask every single coach that question because I want to know the response. Because it's just, how do you coach that? You know, guys are going to have some selfishness to them so that they can benefit financially. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, Wayne's asking in chat, of course, every day you are on the program, you broadcast live from the LeBron room.
Yes.
Is this going to be it for LeBron, or is it just kind of a year by year for him?
My gut feeling tells me he has this year. The contract's over, and then he'll have his final year back in Cleveland. That's what I think is going to happen.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you think about LeBron, the year that he had last year, he was second team all NBA in year 22. So it's not like he's falling off a cliff. It's not like he's just some guy out there.
Just about his body at this point, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. And you can tell he loves basketball. Like, you don't play for 23 years if you don't love it. So I'm going to bank on him playing for the Lakers this last year. The contract's over. That's why he didn't extend it a year ago. And then after the end of the season, he'll go back to Cleveland, and that'll be his last season. So that'll be 26, 27.
Let me ask you here before we let you go. Mike Young had his press conference yesterday. I know you've already been looking at Virginia Tech. They have a European recruit everybody's buzzing about. Is this going to finally – Yeah, is this going to be a year for Virginia Tech? Is this going to be one that they finally get back on the map in college hoops?
I think it will be, because what I loved about Coach Young last year, he had a great quote. He said, "I love the kids on our team, but we have to get more talent." I think they've got more talent. You think of Nicholas Avalos, the guy that everybody's talking about, and also Isaiah Pasha, who's a CAA Rookie of the Year last season in Delaware. He's going to be really good as well. Then you bring back Toby Lawal, the former VCU transfer, who is the most athletic player in the ACC, and you'll have a more competitive Virginia Tech basketball team. So I can't wait to see those guys play as well, because they always play hard. But I think now they have the talent on that roster to compete in the ACC, which will be a little bit better than it was last year, but it still won't be where the league we have come to love. So I think Virginia Tech will be very competitive this year.
Yeah, the league doesn't seem like it's going to be overbearing for a team like Tech if they want to rise up, right? They can navigate through those waters. There's going to be some good teams. The Carolina's supposed to be good. We hear that every year, though. Duke's obviously going to be Duke. There's some others, but they can find their space, no doubt.
Yeah, but I'm not as high on Duke as everybody else, because when you have your entire starting lineup, all those guys heard their name being called in June in the draft, and you have to replace that. How you just don't know, especially when you have a guy like, Cooper Flagg, who was all world, and you knew he would be the number one pick coming into last season. You had, Malawach, who had played with Carleek in the Olympics, who was just oozing with potential. Con Knuppel was a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Tyrese Proctor. I mean, it's going to be hard to replace those guys. The Boozer brothers are going to be really good, but I just don't think Duke will be the Duke we've known them to love in the John Shire era. I think this will be one of his worst teams. I think his coaching will be on display full blast this season. But NC State is going to be good. Louisville is probably my team to win the league this year. North Carolina, the jury's still out because I'm not the biggest Hubert Davis fan. They got some talent over there, but I think Virginia Tech has a chance to sneak up.
Yeah, we know Pat Kelsey well, and, he has a certain reputation. He was always good to me with interviews. That guy can just coach the game. And that's a guy who's been able to evolve how the game has evolved in terms of constructing a roster and a way of doing business, and he doesn't mind whatsoever. We talk about a timely hire that kind of went under the radar nationally. We knew it was going to be a good hire. You and I talked about it on the radio show, but Pat Kelsey to Louisville is going to end up being a pretty, I think, long-term marriage.
Oh, no doubt about it. And it's great because he wasn't even the first option. He knew that. He said, I wasn't my wife's first option as well, but we'll have it working. And then Will Wade at NC State, we talk about him. We know the trouble he got into in LSU. And now, NIL stands for now is legal. He's good. He gets to spend as much money as he possibly wants. And now NC State is going to be good as well, as we talked about earlier in the show. So the ACC is going to have some surprise teams, some teams that haven't been at the top the last few years who will be this year. The North Carolina and the Dukes will be competing at the top, but I still think they have some of those teams that will sneak up right behind them and be able to compete with them in the league.
Yeah, Will Wade at NC State, that's a really good hire.
Yeah,
a really good hire for the Wolfpack.
Home run.
All right, brother, I know you got a jet. Enjoy your day with your young people, and kudos to you for going in every day and trying to help people's lives, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Rick, I'm grateful for you, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. You have a great week, man. Take care.
You too, man.
All right, go Commanders. All right, be good. Keon Brown joining us. Hey, I picked this Commanders to go to the Super Bowl, so, they look pretty good without their franchise quarterback this past Sunday. Hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Great to hear from everybody. Thank you so much. The Professional Door Incorporated text line. Damen Sordlet will join us here momentarily. He's the Virginia Tech beat writer for the Roanoke Times. And we'll get into all these things that happened yesterday at the presser and things we had told you about were going to happen. And we'll see what he has to say about it all. I want to thank all of our sponsors. And we want to start out by thanking Family Fencing. Where's my photo? There we go. Boom. See what I do there? There's the Family Fencing logo. It's great. They have a no-dig installation system. Locally owned, fence experts, finance options available, 540-200-8294. Visit familyfencingnrv.com. National Bank, Larry Ramsey, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Travis Williams and all the folks, Professional Door Incorporated. They sponsor our text line, 540-391-0788. Each and every day we're brought to you by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. Experience Pulaski County. You want to. There's one logo, and there's the other logo. See all the cool stuff they have down here? That's what they do. That's what they do. So we thank them for all their amazing assistance each and every day here on the program. The attorney, Ryan Pry, thanks to him, 701 West Main Street in Radford, our BDST fan question of the week. How many ACC wins does Virginia Tech achieve in 2025? Little River Heating and Air, thanks to Charles Lee and Company for all of their fine assistance each and every day here on the program and in life. Those are the people that you want helping you out. Trust me, you want them, you need them, have to have them. And Mark Hunley and everybody, McClellan Chiropractic, if you need your back popped, whatever you might need, hit him up over there off of Pepper Road. They have all the latest technology. And if you're having trouble getting around, you don't sleep right, well, that's who you go see, Mark Hunley. All right, let's get caught up on the aforementioned McClellan chat room here. Let's see here. Skins, Rick. Yeah, I know. To me, they're always going to be the Redskins, 100%. Especially when the relatives of everybody who designed the logo back in the day from the tribe all want it back, and, certain groups of people say it can't come back. David says, I can't believe Southern Exposure hasn't hopped on as a sponsor. That'd be fine. Oh, yeah. The big dog is bigger than ever. We could do a special broadcast. We could take the portable studio with us up there to West Virginia. I would make that sacrifice. Do play-by-play. Hey, I'm down. Did you know back the first run of the show from 2001 to 2010, they were sponsors of the program? Yeah, they were. That'd be okay. That'd be okay. Heck, any sponsorship I welcome with open arms. And I thank everybody, all the sponsors who have helped support the program. Oh, let me show you this again, by the way, if you're just tuning in. I don't know why I'm minimizing myself because you can't see me. Where did I go? There I am. We have our T-shirt mock-ups. There they are. Boom. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf. Now, I haven't officially signed off on them yet because I wanted to ask you. But that's what they're going to look like. I'll have a very reasonable price point. It's another way you can help support the program. I think they're nice. I think they're going to be very well made. He doesn't have any cheap materials, I'll tell you that. But there you go. Gray seems to be it. Yeah, Jimmy, right now, gray is probably the only color I'm going with. It's expensive to jump around with colors. I know people said gray or black, but really it was 90+% gray is what people were wanting. I think that's a nice looking gray. It's not the charcoal gray, but there you go. And I'll let you design it, remember, with the logo on the back. We got the QR code and then on the left front, so it's not too busy. It'll be comfortable. But I really appreciate Brandon. I tell you what, the guys, I don't know how people come up and design things. It's just great. But there's the T-shirt. There you go. So if you end up wanting one still, let me know, and we'll hit it up. We'll figure out a way to get everything done with T-shirts. Act now, and you get 2 for the price of 1. Well, no. Thanks, Brandon. He says perfection. Wow. Yeah, I told the other Brandon who made the shirts. What is it about you, Brandon? Did you just get stuff right? You going to be there tonight, Brandon? We have soccer broadcast tonight. Do I have 80s tanks and belly shirt options? No. You didn't make that request. Thank you, Sherry. Nice looking shirt. And Sherry, we will have, right now, it's going to be large, extra large, and 2XL, people were telling me. But no, we don't have belly shirts. Nobody requested belly shirts, Wayne. You wouldn't want to see me in a belly shirt. And I don't know if I'd want to see you guys in a belly shirt. All right, good, Brandon. Make that place run. Well, somebody has to. Somebody has to. In lieu of our facilities director actually doing anything. We'll see you tonight. Soccer broadcasts are always better when you're there. Damen Sordlet will join us here momentarily. David Teal around 7:40. And then Mike Burnop, whose appearance is brought to you by Louise Baker, one of my all-time favorite human beings. You don't want to see me either in a belly shirt, Wayne says, frankly, but once the mullet comes out. Yeah. Get the mullet going with the belly shirt. Oof. John says maybe if you dry it several cycles in a row, you'll have a belly shirt. Yeah. Just got to be smart with your cottons. You can't put them in the dryer for real heavy amount of time. But those are nice. And I appreciate Brandon. So I think that's what we're going to go with. And we will get all this worked out. But thank you, Brandon, for that. I think they look great. And thanks to you, by the way, who watch the program, for helping us out with the design. I basically just used your guide, and he put it together. All right. Joining us now on the program to talk all things Virginia Tech football, because he is the Virginia Tech football beat writer for the Roanoke Times. His name is Damen Sordlet, and there he is here on a Wednesday. Good morning, Damien. How are you, brother? Can you hear me?
Doing well, Rick. How are you this morning?
There you go. Well, we had a weird delay there. I think we're good now, though. I'm doing
I
all
can
right,
hear
man.
you.
Yeah, okay. What did you think about yesterday, everything with the press conference and how things are flowing in now heading into ACC play?
It seems like there's still a lot of emotion. Understandable. I mean, when you bring in Benji Gosnell and when you bring in a guy like Benji Gosnell, who was recruited by Justin Fuente and his commitment was honored by Brent Pry, even with the ACL injury at Carroll County High, Benji Gosnell had a lot of emotion, and you can tell he's still processing the information, but he's, as a captain, he's moving forward. I think hearing from Pry last week really helped him out quite a bit, and it seems like the team knows nothing's going to be normal for the rest of the season because this coaching staff's probably not going to be around next year. The roster could still turn over quite a bit, so there's a lot of uncertainty going into the off season. So I think they're processing it as well as they can, and I think someone stole an adage from Frank Beamer that, hey, the season's still in front of us. We still got league play left, and we're undefeated there. I think Brent Davis told the tight end group that. So I think they're moving forward, and honestly, this is a good chance. This is a team that Virginia Tech could beat. NC State's been susceptible to a lot of big plays. They should have lost to UVA, and they got handled by Duke in the second half. And the common denominator in those games is both teams ran the ball well and found pay dirt. And NC State's other wins, they held Wake Forest and East Carolina to below 100 rushing yards. So Tech needs to run the ball for this one.
I liked the comment that Phil Montgomery said, things still aren't right in our building, right? He said, but, we're getting there. It's healing. I like that. He was very honest about, no, it's still not good. Everybody still hates everything that happened, but we're starting to kind of reform. I thought that was a nice way that he handled that question yesterday.
Yeah, you can tell he's done this before. Not in these circumstances, but he's done this before as a head coach. And Kelvin Gilliam and Kamari Copeland both brought that up after the game Saturday, that they could tell he's done this before. Benji Gosnell reiterated, hey, he transitioned from just being a play caller to leading the entire team, and it seemed like it worked perfectly. So having someone on staff who had done this before, it was ideal. So that's something that I think is going to help this team moving forward, is the fact that Montgomery's been through this, and the fact that he won at Tulsa, which is one of the hardest jobs to win at in the country. That shows he's got the chops to do it, and he's the guy who's going to get going through the rest of the season.
Have you been surprised? Wayne just asked it, and it's like we're on the same wavelength. I was going to ask you, been surprised that we haven't seen a flux of players jump into the portal? Is that just something that's waiting to happen, or is it just not going to happen because of how the transition's been handled?
I don't know. If you're a VT Scoop, they say they're guys that are in the portal, but at the same time, I mean, you could see how Montgomery handled it, and the fact that this team remained committed. I mean, Kelvin Gilliam served up a lead for us writers on Saturday when he said, like, the meeting they had after Pry was fired, he walked up to a door at the Merriman team room at the Merriman Center, opened it and said, if you don't want to be here, leave. And we know one player who entered the portal, and Dante Lovett. Now, that's not to say there's agents who are talking to these players and
that's right,
this, that, and the other. I'm a bit concerned about like Quentin Reddish, a true sophomore, Caleb Woodson, a true junior, even a Christian Ellis who has a redshirt year available. Those guys I'm a bit concerned about. Like Caleb Brown sat out. He's redshirted. I don't think it'd be in his best interest to leave. and all that stuff. And just so you know, if they enter the transfer portal and they're not part of the team anymore, their rev share and NIL payments stop. That's I would assume that's part of the contract.
Yeah.
That they have with the program. So you could theoretically say we're entering the transfer portal, but then just stay with the team, don't play, you practice, and then at the end of the season, when the portal window opens, you enter. That could be a way that they're doing it. So it could be, we'll wait to see what the injury report says on Thursday, because we're going to get the first one of these. And to answer Wayne's question, you can play up to 4 games, but there's also the portal window after the season in January.
Right.
So technically, you could tell the coaches, we're going to enter the portal. We want to preserve our year of eligibility, but we want to be here to help the team. So you can essentially make up your scout team. And so that way you're not like decimated. So the guys you elevate to the rotational pieces that need to get those snaps, they're not having to go back and play scout team as well. So you can get guys on the scout team, and that could be something that is being considered. So we don't know. I'd like to see get some clarification on that. That was the first question I asked Montgomery yesterday, was about the transfer portal, because we're now 4 games in, and technically a lot of these guys still have 1 more game left, those who sat out. So they could be playing in this ACC opener and then announcing they're entering. Who knows? And it's one of those situations, if we'll just see what happens.
Hokies Rock in chat makes a good point. They could be waiting to the first to get that next check. I've heard that. They know the timetable and know when it's supposed to come out, and that's when they do come out. Just knowing how things work a little bit more now than I used to, obviously. But and then he thinks a mass exit. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're just looking at it and say, all right, we don't want to miss this payment. I don't know. It's a theory, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and you also don't know how much some of these like NIL deals were front loaded before July 1st with the NIL Go and Deloitte. So most of them probably got their payments up front for NIL. It's just the rev share payments you get every month. So like I said, you could be waiting for that. And the other thing is, you could be having players who are telling the coach, we want a red shirt. We don't want to burn a year of eligibility, but we also don't want to enter the portal yet because we want to be here to help the team. And so that could be something. Something with Caleb Woodson is they could have chosen to punish. He could have served his suspension for the DUI against Wofford. That's another thing that we kind of like talked about in the press boxes. Yeah. That's a possibility as well. So. A lot of things to juggle. Hopefully we'll get some clarity here, either on the injury report or in the coming weeks, about what happens. But again, like you said, you're right. They could be waiting for that next payment to come in and then hit the portal. So hopefully there's a chance to find a balance there, and the team benefits and the players benefit.
Damen Sordlet joining us on the program, the Hokies football beat writer for the Roanoke Times. Wasn't surprised to see Bruce Arians say he's going to help. Mike Burnop told us that a couple weeks ago on the show, so we knew not going to have a GM role, but he's going to be advising and doing these things. And if you're going to go this route to restructure, I think he's a pretty good source to tap into. Right, it just seems like a natural fit, and he's helped out in the past when he's been asked. He's always going to be willing to help. So that's a good start, isn't it, for the next step?
Yeah, when Pete Makos announced that, my first thought is, water's wet. You knew that was going to happen.
I know. It's like they were acting like they broke this news. We're like, yeah.
Burnop knew about this a long time ago. And I think most everyone who covers the program is like, yeah, it's going to happen. It makes sense. It makes sense. Jeff King's probably going to help. It makes sense. Neander from the Tampa Bay Rays is going to help with that. I mean, they've helped in the past, especially with rev share and roster management and negotiating these contracts. it wouldn't be surprised to see them involved as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember if it was the press conference from Witt or it was the press release from Tim Sands, but they mentioned football minds would be involved in this process, especially for the GM and the coach. So, yeah, putting Bruce Arians on doesn't hurt. I could see like Kevin Jones, who's around the program. He could be another guy. You got a lot of guys you can pick from in this regard. So, I do agree with Bruce Arians. You need to get a GM in place, and then that GM can have a say in who the coach is going to be. And this goes back to something we talked about 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be awkward if the head coach is hired and then you bring in the GM and they don't mesh?
Yeah,
and it's not they're not their guys, right? So you bring in the GM first. I think Bruce Arians saying that is the smart thing to do. I kind of wish the university would bring that messaging to us and not have Bruce Arians go out and do that. I mean, selfishly, I'd like to have that to write about, not have Bruce Arians going on the Pat McAfee show and saying, "Oh yeah, this is what we're doing," and it's like, hey, come on, guys, be a little bit better on your communication from this. It makes sense. I expect to see a lot more name. I don't know if we're going to get the full committee list or who's actually chairing this. But I have a feeling if Arians is involved, he's going to make sure there's a lot of other like-minded people in the room when those decisions are being made.
You know what you just said got me thinking, Damien. You may have just announced what the committee should be like. I mean, why not? Because I don't think Jeff King's coming here. I don't think, who's the GM? Norlander?
Yeah.
They're not coming here, but why not have them part of this committee with Bruce Arians, whoever? I mean, there's 3 guys who do this that know how this is supposed to be structured. Why can't those 3 guys be on the committee? That makes them I was sitting there thinking, wow, he just mentioned those guys. You can't make them come here to work. They're not going to leave, I don't think, professional sports to come to college, but they could help form that committee. I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, and I honestly thought, Jeff King and I think you brought this up last week when we talked, Jeff King and Matt Roan could work together on the staff. King as GM and Matt Roan as the new AD or athletic CEO.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad thing. And
no,
this actually got brought up when we talked about does Bob Chesney a possibility?
Yeah, right.
And you get Chesney and Roan from James Madison as a package deal. You get Jeff King as the football GM.
Woo.
Now you're looking at
you're cooking now. Yeah,
you're cooking now, and a lot of people have said, get away from the past, focus on building something that's for the future. Jeff King and Matt Roan both came to Virginia Tech from Pulaski, but they both went their separate ways in terms of charting their paths. So they've got the experience, and Matt Roan has been an excellent AD. Fantastic AD wherever he's gone.
Superstar.
Eastern Kentucky, he got them rolling before coming to James Madison. Jeff King has gotten a ton of experience in the NFL. You could do worse. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if you got 2 people who love Virginia Tech and know this area and understand how things are happening in this new world of athletics, those are guys who would go for.
I agree. The news came out Monday, again, not a surprise, about the money that's going to be accepted. It's going to happen. They're going to have a huge new influx of cash. It's going to be there for when all this begins. So one thing they won't be able to do going forward is say they don't have the finances in place, because it looks like that's going to be taken care of.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where the money flows to. And the other thing is, where is the philanthropy coming from? I would assume if you're announcing a $120 million in fundraising at $30 million a year, you probably have something teed up and something already in the works for that.
Yeah.
I don't think you go in and make that type of plan, especially with Jay Pearson and Ryan McCarthy leading the charge. I don't think you put that out there in those numbers, specifically round numbers, if something's not already lined up. I don't know if it's going to be all of it at once or if it's multiple donations saying, hey, I don't want to see UVA on this heater anymore when it comes to fundraising. We want to help change the narrative here. I could see that happening. And so, I'd like to see where the money's flowing, how much is going to football. I've heard it's going to be a big number going to football, and then the rest gets divvied up. But yeah, Virginia Tech can't say we're doing more with less anymore. They're actually competing with the big boys. The fact that you have this influx of money, a guy that people have talked about, Matt Campbell at Iowa State, everyone's like, well, he's not going to leave. Iowa State is facing a $147 million budget deficit in athletics through, I believe, 2031, which means they're having a budget deficit of, $24 million a year. If you're Virginia Tech, you go to Matt Campbell and say, we're actually adding to our budget. The school you're at is subtracting from your budget. Make you say no. And I think that would be a good thing to, that would be one of my first calls. We brought up Lane Kiffin last week as well. So that would be, I would go to Matt Campbell, bring that and present that to him, because like you said, there's a lot of money coming in. And if you're a coach, you want to know that the school you're going to be at is going to have the resources.
It's going to be interesting to see the way it plays out, as will Saturday, as you mentioned. One thing we do know, Bill Montgomery has a lot of respect for the Smothers kid, as he should. He's a dynamic running back. Feels like the whole game's going to swing on whether or not they can kind of harness him a little bit, because I agree with you. I think Tech's going to score some points, as I'm not impressed with NC State on that side of the ball at all defensively. So it's going to be interesting to see if Tech can do anything to harness him and have enough there, get enough stops to give themselves a chance if they are scoring the football. We'll see.
Yeah, Hollywood Smothers kind of reminds me of Isaac Brown from Louisville. It's just he might be that guy that gets 1, 2, like he struggles for yards, and then boom, home run hit. Like that's what Isaac Brown did against James Madison. And I've seen Smothers do the same thing. He'll be like 3, 4 yards a carry. You look at him like, oh, he's got 40-something yards, and then boom, he rips off a 60-yarder, and it's like,
yeah, he's gone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, there you go. He's up to 100. I mean, he's got 100 plus in 3 straight. I think he's got more rushing yards by himself than Virginia Tech as a team through 4 games. That's because they lean on him, and the fact that C.J. Bailey isn't bad at all in the pocket, though. He did get a little turnover prone against Duke last week with those 3 interceptions. And for Virginia Tech, what better way to keep the defense rolling than to get some takeaways? Because outside of Quentin Reddish's interception against Vanderbilt, where Pavia just basically had to throw something up because he was under duress, they really haven't been in position to get a lot of interceptions this year. So that's going to be something that if Virginia Tech can do that and get some turnovers, get the ball back to the offense, hopefully have some plus field situations, you might be looking at a really good chance to win this one.
Well, it's going to be interesting. When you heading Raleigh?
Well, since it's 7:00 kick, I'm going to drive down Saturday.
Yeah, good
not
call.
Too bad. Yeah, not too bad of a drive. The only downside is I'm going to miss watching some college football, and
yeah,
it goes back to Ryan Pry's comment of why I still had Illinois ranked in 19th.
Did you say that? I saw that. Yeah.
AP top 25. I had to look at all of Illinois' thing and like, I wanted to drop them out, but then I was like, man, they're still good. And yeah, that's one of the ones that people gave me grief for. Where I've already gotten grief for that. And Texas Tech fans are up in arms about me having them only at 18 when I'm like, dude, you played Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Kent State to open the season.
Right.
And Oregon State was the best win they had before going to Salt Lake City and beating up on Utah. So give it some time. If they go and win some more games, they'll be ranked. If Illinois has another stinker, they're gone, just like Clemson's gone.
Yeah.
And I still don't have Notre Dame ranked, and they got 2 losses. I don't know why people are still voting for them.
Right, I know. Well, the Domers, they're just in a different realm of reality. He says, thanks, Damien. I'm happy to give grief.
ODU played Indiana closer.
They did. They really did, actually.
Yeah.
They did.
Well,
They did.
I mean, ODU hosts Liberty.
Yeah. That's
Liberty
kind of a sneaky, interesting game now. Yeah.
I know. Liberty with 3 losses, and they're starting QB Vasco is back after having his arm in a sling in the second half against James Madison. So I'll say this about Jamie Chadwell because his name has come up in the coaching search. If he doesn't have a quarterback, that offense does not go. He had Grayson McCall at Coastal Carolina, but we saw when Grayson McCall got hurt, they had struggles. They had a healthy Caden Salter for all of 2023. That's why they went to the Fiesta Bowl. Caden Salter got hurt last year, and that offense started to take a bit of a tumble late in the season. That's why they struggled to the finish and didn't even win their bowl game. You can see this year when they don't have a healthy quarterback or a really dynamic quarterback that can run that spread option offense, they struggle. And that's what you're seeing. Like the offense was looking good in the first half against James Madison, and all of a sudden Vasco gets hurt. You got to bring in, Merninger. That's where you get into the issues. And I know they're high on their Jalen Bradford, I believe, who's a 4-star prospect for IMGB, but he's been nicked up. He would be the guy that I think would ideally run that. Wayne, if Kyron Drones throws the ball as well as he did against Wofford against NC State, I don't think the problem will be at QB. That was probably Drones' best game as a thrower because 2 incompletions were drops, 2 incompletions were where the receiver stepped out of bounds before making the catch, and then 1 was on a throwaway. Drones was throwing the ball really well against Wofford, and I know Wofford's not good. No. But if Kyron Drones can build on that and show the same type of poise and confidence in the pocket, and instead of taking shots down the field, checks it down to PJ Prelo and Marcellus Hawkins or whichever running back, and they can pick up a lot of yards, that might not be a bad plan. And then instead of playing everyone back, defenses are going to have to, play for, they're going to do a swing pass. So you're taking away maybe a safety deep. And all of a sudden you go one-on-one with Aiden or Donovan Green.
Well, yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think a lot more interesting than people think. I'm glad it got moved to a night game, to be honest, because I have to have a broadcast. I have to work Saturday, so I'll be home. So I'm kind of going to be curious. It's going to be interesting to see. I hope you have safe travels, my friend. Great takes as always, and we'll be following you online. Follow Damien on Twitter and also on the hard copy of the Run-Up Times. And we look forward to getting your reaction next week.
Yep. Appreciate it, Rick. Everyone in the chat, thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, they're great. Thanks, man. Be safe, man.
I appreciate it.
All right, there you go. That's Damen Sordlet. By the way, all the names that are coming up in chat, these former players, I will ask Dwight. Nobody has a better pulse on the alumni than Dwight. He talks to them all. And, it's interesting. Some of these guys I saw David mention, like D'Angelo and Macho. When the collapse happened against Vanderbilt, it's really cool because I'm kind of like Dwight's outlet. So we're on the phone and he gets a conference call, and all of a sudden Macho Harris is on the call. D'Angelo's on the call. Todd Washington's on the call. I'm just listening. Tech's got a very passionate alumni base from that era that wants to see it get right. I don't know how they're going to be utilized or if they will. But we'll ask the question tomorrow from Dwight. Marty Smith, Steve Ragsdale tomorrow, by the way. And I'll say this, being here with you today, I came on, I didn't feel well at all. I feel better now talking to you and our great guests. David Teal is next, coming up, by the way. I was just thinking about this as Damien was going over things yesterday. And I want to ask this question of you, all the Tech fans out there. What if Philip Montgomery ends up doing such an impressive job that they have no choice but to offer him the permanent position? How would that make you feel? And I don't know what that would look like in the minds of Virginia Tech. It doesn't really matter what it looks like in the minds of Whit Babcock because he doesn't have anything to do with football anymore. But so what do we have? We have 8 games remaining, correct? 8 conference games remaining. Let's say, and again, this isn't a prediction. Let's say he goes 6-2, exceeds everyone's expectations. And they finish the year 7-5 and go to a bowl. When he took over, they were 0-3. If that happens, they couldn't ignore that. And then all of a sudden, does he rise to the top of the candidates? Hokies Rock says conflicted. I think that's exactly the perfect word. Conflict. You would be conflicted. And I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Here comes this guy. Here's Balboa. Balboa Creed, by the way. He hadn't been here in a while. There he is. Sorry. This is my rescue kitty, by the way. Look at that guy. He'd been hunting all night long. Just came in. Yeah, he was thrown on the side of the road with his brothers and sisters in a bag. And he was the only one that survived. How can human beings do that? Whether you're a dog person or cat person, I love both. I don't have, but anyway, that's my mascot right there. That's my mascot. So conflicted seems to be the word. No chance. This hire has to save. No, there's no saving Babcock with football. He has nothing to do with it. Somebody asked in chat, I still do not believe Whit will be the long-term AD. No, I do not. I think things are being handled more calmly now because of the relationships that are over there, but I don't think long-term that's going to be the way it's set up now. Morris says you would hire him. Remember, with the new money, comparatively speaking, different than Tulsa money. That's a great point. And yeah, that would show that he's a good coach, taking a team that was completely shattered, losing their coach. Nobody seemed interested. They didn't play at all against Old Dominion. Got embarrassed in the second half against Vandy. And then if he can pull them out of the fire. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just a scenario I started thinking about. What if he gives you no choice? Or what if he gives you every opportunity to say, do you want this job? Yeah, and 6-2 with this schedule, correct. Because you know what? Here's something. I'm going to bring it up with Teel here in a moment. And I'm going to write about it this week in the Patriot. The ACC is kind of flying under the radar a little bit, in my opinion. Now, you might disagree, and I understand. And what I mean by that, and I'm going to bring this up to Teel. So every year it's Clemson. They were the highest ranked team in the country preseason. Clemson. We had Phil Steele on the Friday before the start of college football. He has Clemson going to the national championship. Clemson is 1-3. They're out of it. But yet the league, look at the league. You have 2 teams in the top 10 because the 2 big Florida brands have picked up the slack, at least so far. Frankie, congratulations to your Canes. Frankie, I'll use you as my Canes representative. Right now, I owe you and Canes Nation a huge apology. They're really good. They seem like they're really good this year. I'm letting Teel know I sent him the invite. There we go. They're good. They're good. USF game showed me something. That was impressive. I know people are like, USF. Yeah, USF. They've beaten 2 ranked teams. But Miami's good. Florida State seems good. I think this is a decent test for Florida State going to Charlottesville Friday night. I'll ask Teel about that. First road game. No, David, you're right. I like Cade Klubnik as a dude. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. He's not all world. John says Frankie is suspended from any acknowledgments as a Miami Dolphins fan. By the way, what you guys are about to bring out uniform-wise this Monday night against the Jets is everything that's wrong with Nike and current NFLs. The Dolphins, all they'd have to do is commit to those wonderful 70s throwbacks that are so popular and the real agua marine and the block numbers, but they're going to wear all black, including black helmets. Because, black for the sake of black, why not? We're the Dolphins, and black's never been part of anything, but yet we're going to wear it on Monday night. And boy, we had a big uniform reveal yesterday. That was straight fire. Did you see that uniform? That was straight fire. Anyway, Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech is really good. I love Haynes King. You know this already. That's 3 really good teams in the top 15 without Clemson. And then look at the next tier. Louisville is really good. Virginia's much better. Syracuse is 3-1. They just lost their quarterback for the season. So that's very disappointing. NC State's 3-1. We'll see how they are against a team like Tech. I'm not saying they're great shakes or anything, but they've been impressive. Duke is a very solid team, especially at home. Who am I leaving out? Wake's not any good. Cal and Stanford aren't any good. Tech is struggling right now. But what I'm saying is the league seems to be better this year. And it's kind of flying under the radar. It's very competitive. It's not just Clemson and everybody else because nobody else could do it but Clemson. So let's put Clemson on an island. They're not on that island anymore. They've sunk to the bottom of the ocean right now. Okay, Bob says, wonder if there's a proposition bet in Vegas on Montgomery becoming the new head coach. Morris, to his point, Montgomery's 44-53 as a head coach, 2-2 in bowls. No resources as a head coach. What could he do with resources? That's right. Can he coach portal NIL players? We're going to find that out. And that's why I think he's got an advantage here, Morris, because now he's doing that. Dealing with guys like Hokies Rock said earlier, maybe they're waiting to leave on the first. He's dealing with those personalities. He's dealing with those real relationships. He's dealing with the legitimate reality of everything that's going on. Yeah, Smoo is way down. Smoo's been very disappointing, Wayne. Smoo and Clemson, very disappointing. But, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Phil Montgomery has a chance to coach himself into this job. That's all I'm saying. And I think if you're a Tech fan, if he goes 6-2 and you go to a bowl, you're going to go, okay, let's go. But the ACC overall has been sneaky, very solid. Is that a compliment? Yeah, I think so. Considering the league gets dragged through the mud, and really most years rightfully so, let's give them a little bit of props, man. Let's tip our hat a little bit to the ACC. I've seen some good football games. I try to watch as many as the teams as I can. I'm not going to count Stanford and Cal. They're still not the ACC to me. But the rest I've tried to watch. Carolina's not very good. That's the other one I left out. But 3 top-tier teams, and then the second tier is pretty darn competitive, and you could see those teams hosting some of the top-tier teams and upsetting them, and you'd go, well, this is kind of what it's like in the other 2 big leagues, right? SEC, Big Ten, and even in the Big 12. Matthew says, unless you get your number 1 candidate, he would have earned it. Yeah, and we don't know, how that might shape up with the number 1 candidate. But I really like the idea of the whole, why not have these guys who probably aren't going to leave their big-time professional jobs to come to Blacksburg? Why not have them all part of the committee? I'm sure they do it. They're already making high salaries. I wouldn't think they'd be asking for a whole ton of money to be on the committee. Why not tap in to the expertise? Norlander with the Rays and Jeff King, Bruce Arians, and have them all just kind of come together. It's professional sports anyway. They're all part of the professional sports world. Why not? It feels like, and I don't like the strike. I'll never agree. I know people are going to have different opinions. I'll never agree with the GM coming first, but whatever. Maybe it works out. Maybe now that Bruce Arians is going to be helping hire that, it helps. But it feels like to me there's enough people that really care about it. The fans are always going to care, but there seems like there's enough people that are really behind this. It feels like Tech's not going to have as much of an opportunity to not get this right as they normally would have. There's too much pressure behind it, for one, because everybody else is observing this the way that it is, that they have to get it right. So sorry for all the taking drinks this morning. I haven't felt great today. Been a difficult morning. But hey, we're muddling through. David Teal joins us in a little bit. Tomorrow, Andy Bitter, Marty Smith from Marty and McGee, Steve Ragsdale, and Dwight Vick. Wow, what a show. That's a show. That's straight fire. There's no way any Dolphins fans are going to watch the Dolphins on Monday night against the Jets wearing that all black, including a black helmet, and go, yeah, wow. Never thought I'd see the day. That looks so good. I mean, all we have is this unique, beautiful aquamarine and orange that just stands out. It's the only uniform of its type. But boy, look at that. Nike, it made us all wear black. Wow. It's great. Let's go buy one. Let's go buy 3. They're only $250. Yes, the Dolphins have perfect classic uniforms. Not the new ones. Their throwbacks when they paint up the end zones are so beautiful. They sell out. Every year, they're the number 1 throwback selling jersey. But nah, we don't want to do that. We're Nike. What we're going to do is, hey, here's an idea. It's crazy, but we're just going to put black on a uniform for the sake of black. It has nothing to do with anything, but it's cool. No, it's really not. I want to see how many of those jerseys sell. That's what I want to see. I want to see how many of those jerseys sell. But we'll see. Could we get another Merino fake spike? I don't know, but you're looking at 2 winless teams as well. Maybe after all, wearing black would be an appropriate color because it's going to feel like maybe a funeral procession in the stadium. 2-0-3 squads with the Jets and the Dolphins. Mike Burnop comes up in about 20 minutes, joining us now on the program. There you go. He is the Hall of Famer. He is the best at what he does. His name is David Teal. David, how are you, my friend? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick.
Wow, a lot to talk about. We'll get the tech stuff out of the way first, but we know the money's coming in. You talked about it last week. We weren't surprised, right, that it was going to probably be okay. We knew about Bruce Arians going to be involved. That got confirmed. So things seem to be positive in a way, right? Phil Montgomery mentioned that yesterday. It's still kind of strange around the locker room and things, but normalcy maybe returning a little bit. Yeah.
I don't think I go quite that far, Rick. The rollout of the Board of Visitors materials that the collective group will vote upon Tuesday was okay. Yeah, the number is impressive, but boy, the questions remain. This $30 million philanthropic piece, $30 million annually over 4 years, which accounts for more than half of this $229.2 million in additional athletics expenditures, is very nebulous. No details offered there. Is it campus money, which I suspect that it probably is, rather than Hockey Club contributions? Is it just unrestricted dollars that are donated to the university that they will just move over to athletics? Is it $30 million a year that they're going to have to raise additionally? It's all very vague. And when Tim Sands announced Brent Pry's dismissal, he referenced that the board was going to present a financial, organizational, and leadership plan for athletics. Well, the materials that the board has to consider address nothing about leadership or organization. So those questions linger. What is Whit Babcock's future? What is his precise role in the search? I know Bruce Arians is out there on McAfee saying they're going to hire a general manager first. I'm not sure that's been finalized.
Agreed.
This is what happens, Rick, when there are a lot of people involved, rather than a very buttoned up, tidy coaching search. So normalcy, I wouldn't go there.
Unfortunately, maybe it's the normalcy at Tech, and this is why they're in the situation they're in.
Now that is a very good point.
But you've seen these searches. You know how they're supposed. You've seen the ones that have worked and gone well, and how, like you say, they're buttoned up. They usually don't go the way you want them to. The way this one started, maybe.
No, and procedural competence doesn't necessarily equate to a fantastic choice or the coach that turns you into a championship contender every year. So, Whit Babcock ran very tight searches and landed with Justin Fuente and Brent Pry, neither of whom worked out. So, maybe this very scattered, disorganized method will work. Maybe there is method to the madness for the Hokies.
Well, we'll see here as it plays out, as they get ready to start league play. I really want to talk to you about the league because I have a crazy mindset, and you'll let me know whether you think I'm insane or not. But it feels like to me, because it's always about Clemson, right? They're the highest ranked team in the country, and Phil still says, we're going to play in the national title game. Well, Clemson is not good right now.
No, they're not.
But don't you feel like, at least for me, I think the ACC is kind of flying under the radar. Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech are legitimately really good. Yeah. And then I think there's a next tier of 4 or 5 teams that are pretty solid. Is it crazy for me to think that the league depth is healthy even without Clemson, at least so far, the way they're showing in certain places? Virginia's much better. I don't know.
In some certain places, Rick, there's no masking the league's 5-12 record against its Power 4 peers, which is the worst among the group. The American has more Power 4 wins than the ACC does.
Uh-oh, my theory's in trouble.
Yeah, that's not a good look. But your point about Miami, Florida State, and Georgia Tech is very well taken. And, each of them undefeated. Really looking forward to seeing Florida State in person Friday night in Charlottesville. Very interesting, perhaps tricky game for the Seminoles. they have just that they were dominant against Alabama and then beat two overmatched opponents. And they have Miami next week. Are they looking ahead? That would be a classic Florida State move.
It would.
Florida State is the number one scoring team in the league. Virginia is number two. But Florida State's also the best defensive team statistically. Is part of that a function of scheduling? Yes, but they played Alabama and bottled up Alabama quite well. So, I think, emphasis on think, Florida State wins Friday night, but I think we're going to get a show in Charlottesville. And what I really hope for Virginia's sake is that there are fannies in the seats in Scott Stadium, because the crowd last Saturday night for the Stanford game was pitiful. And Virginia's playing well. It was a beautiful night. You're playing an ACC opener, and there's like 30-some thousand in the stands.
Right.
Man, that's got to be discouraging to Tony Elliott and Carla Williams and the rest of the UVA administrators.
We had a lot of people in chat have brought that up. If Virginia can't show out, and I was going to ask you about this, so it's good that you went right to it, but if they can't show out in a game like this, I know it's a Friday night, then it doesn't feel like they're ever going to get that enthusiasm the way it needs to be. This should be their, like you said, it needs to be a show, and the crowd they got to make it as such, right?
Well, just like it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
This is the 30th anniversary of Virginia taking down Florida State, ranked number 2 in the country, undefeated in the ACC over almost 4 years. I believe the Seminoles were 27 or 29-0 all time in the league when they got to Charlottesville that November night, Thursday night. And Adrian Burnham and Anthony Poindexter stopped Warwick Dunn mere inches from the goal line on the final play to set off that celebration. I'm old enough to have been there and remember the night well. So it would really benefit the Cavaliers to have, that crowd that night was only 43,000, but they were packed to the gills because the stadium was smaller.
Right.
And they tore down the goal, but they had a party.
Well, I hope it looks great. I hope they have that, and I hope it's one of those nights, because I feel about this game the way you do. First road game for Florida State, Miami on the horizon, Virginia chance. Tony Elliott, he's been looking for this. He should be 4-0, right? They're a couple plays away from being 4-0. This is what he's needed, the kind of start he's needed. He's got this opportunity, man. Can you think of a bigger night for Virginia football that we've seen, maybe after the tragedy coming back and trying to have normalcy in real life scenario, but just from a football standpoint, this seems like one of the biggest nights I can remember.
Yeah, it is a big night for them. I mean, it's not as big as 2019 when they're hosting the Hokies with a chance to win the ACC Coastal and end the streak, and which they did. But in terms of Tony Elliott's group, from a pure football standpoint, yes, this is the biggest stage that they have occupied. And Rick, I was just thinking, it's the 30th anniversary of UVA's win over Florida State. Think back to 1995, that year. UVA and Tech both were conference champions.
That's right. They were, weren't they?
I mean, this was the glory days of Commonwealth college football, when George Welsh and Frank Beamer had it going on in a big way. And now you look at the respective programs, and both of, Tech is obviously in a bad spot and looking to climb out, and Virginia perhaps is in that process. We don't know yet. Cavaliers haven't beaten anyone yet. We'll see.
Well, they could change that whole mindset on Friday,
Sure can.
to say the least. Miami, I had to apologize to Canes fans. I didn't. You hear it every year. They have that U on their helmet. They're the brand. People need this league needs. They're really good. I watch them, and I'm very impressed. Did you expect Carson Beck to be this good this quickly in that new system? I know he's a talented kid, and he got paid a lot, but he looks like this is the system that's made for him.
Well, we didn't know because of the elbow, Rick.
Yeah.
I mean, that
right.
that to me was the bigger question. I thought Miami was going to put a lot of talent around him, which they did. And it was just up to him and his body, his mother nature, to see if that elbow healed.
Yeah.
But boy, he certainly looks the part. And those offensive and defensive lines are elite.
They are.
And he's got some wide outs. Mark Fletcher is a quality running back. Corey Heatherman is the new defensive coordinator coming in from Minnesota. Was a great get for Mario Cristobal in the offseason. The Canes are absolutely legit. I mean, you can make the case based on resume with wins over South Florida, Florida, and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That Miami should be number one in the country.
You can. 100%. 100%. I thought South Florida was going to be a huge test, and they just dispatched them like they were gum on their shoe. That one's, I saw South Florida beat up on Florida physically. So the 9-game schedule, inevitable. I think you and I had mentioned that. We knew it was going to come, obviously, and makes a lot of sense. And what do you think about the ACC making that official announcement this week?
Well, it was inevitable because Jim Phillips didn't want the ACC to be out there as the only Power Four playing 8 conference games. So once the SEC decided last month, to move to 9 games starting next year, this move felt like it was coming, if only because, Rick, with the increased CFP emphasis on strength of schedule, and the SEC mandated this when it went to 9. We're playing 9 conference games, and everybody must play at least one non-conference game against a Power 4 opponent. So 10 P4 games. The ACC is looking at the landscape and saying, can we remain at 8 and everybody play 2 P4 non-conference to get to 10? But there's just not the inventory there. There's not the available games with the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC all at 9.
Right.
Everyone in the ACC wasn't going to be able to acquire 2 Power 4 non-conference games each year. Now, the Clemsons and the Florida States, the Louisvilles and the Georgia Techs, absolutely, because they have the built-in game
right
against their SEC rival at the end of the season. But for Virginia Tech, and many others, it was going to be very difficult. So 9+1 was the logical move. The only issue is the math doesn't math. You can't play 9 conference games, have everybody play 9 league games with 17 teams. You have to have an even number of teams to play an odd number of conference games. So next year, there will be 3 or 5 ACC teams that only play 8 while everyone plays 9. And then starting in 2027, 16 of the 17 ACC teams will play 9. But each year, there will be one team that only plays 8. And it won't be the same team every year. I think more years than not, it will be a Clemson or a Florida State that has that guaranteed non-league game against an SEC rival. And, Clemson also has the extended series with Notre Dame. But otherwise, a program like Virginia Tech, I think, is going to end up playing 9 ACC games, perhaps every year, and just settling for 1 Power 4 non-conference. So, it's a little confusing, but that's just how the numbers work.
How do you foresee it affecting the Notre Dame schedule? Would they then have one game added in kind of their round robin? I mean, I guess it's hard to predict what's going to happen because nobody can tell Notre Dame what to do, seemingly in college football. But
no, and the Notre Dame thing is complicated as well.
It is.
Because, the Irish and Clemson extended their series where they're going to play every season for 12 years. 5 of those count toward Notre Dame's contracted quota with the ACC. 7 don't. You look at Virginia Tech's schedule, and Virginia Tech has 2 games upcoming with Notre Dame in back-to-back years. I believe it's 2027 and 28. But one of those games might go away because in the Notre Dame rotation among ACC opponents, Cal, Stanford, and SMU haven't been folded in yet. So other schools in the league could well lose some games against Notre Dame to accommodate Cal, Stanford, SMU. So it is very, very uncertain and a lot of work left to be done at conference office about future schedule rotations.
A little dicey. Yeah, that's be very, very interesting. Well, listen, my friend, great stuff as always. And I hope you have a great day. You're gonna have a good time on Friday night. That's gonna be fun. I hope it's a fun atmosphere for you. I do.
I'll be there Friday and then head down to Raleigh for a Saturday night and the Hokies and NC State. So a nice little convenient weekend doubleheader.
Yeah, you got a Commonwealth doubleheader. Well, listen, man, thanks for your time as always, and I'm loving what you're doing with Will Tech Sideline with you, those guys. It's great stuff.
Oh, thanks. We enjoy doing it.
Yeah. It's great. It shows. And we enjoy having you on the program, brother. Listen, stay safe, man. Have fun this weekend.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, man. All right. There you go. That's David Teal, the Hall of Famer, joining us on the program. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Family Fencing Studios. Because there's a Family Fencing Studios because Family Fencing is sponsoring our studio. Give them a call, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Appreciate their support, Jason Green and company. We had a few people already call and ask about fences. That's what it's all about. McClellan Chiropractic Clinic chat line. It blows up every day in here in the chat room. We leave it up on the screen now. Thank you so much for contributing. Thanks to Mark Hunley, our Professional Door Incorporated text line. It blows up even when I'm not doing the show. 540-391-0788. Thanks to Travis Williams. 38 years in business right across from Newberry Community College, Route 100 in Dublin. Family owned and operated. Second generation, by the way. Thanks to the attorney, Ryan Pry, down in Radford, sponsoring our BDST fan question of the week. That's Louise Baker. We're going to talk about Louise here in just a second. But Ryan Pry, he came to me and he said, hey, let's do a fan question. And every week we've averaged like 60 responses. It's been great. Go see him at 701 West Main Street. This week it's how many ACC wins you think they're going to end up with in Blacksburg. Thanks to Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air. Thanks to them. The heating part's starting to take full thrust now. It's leaves are falling, a little chillier in the mornings. It's happening, but that's okay. That's okay. It's this time of year. You wouldn't have fall. We wouldn't have football without fall. Thanks to Larry Ramsey, member, National Bank member, FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of the program. And we want to thank Pulaski County Sports Entertainment for being the presenting sponsor of this show each and every week. All right, good stuff. Keep the comments coming in the chat room, and also keep them coming via the text line because we go from one Hall of Famer to the next. And there he is, back from his whirlwind tour with Bill Roth the last 2 days. This is Mike Burnop. What's up, Michael? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick. I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing all right. Yeah, you guys were busy. Where were you guys Monday and Tuesday? And you guys were doing some stuff.
We went to the Bud Foster Lunch Pail Foundation fundraiser.
Oh,
it's up at the Hermitage Country Club right outside of Richmond. And you talk about a nice club now. That's a country club there now, brother. That thing is beautiful. 2 golf courses, 18 holes, just wide open land. We saw deer. We saw some raccoons. Yeah, it was beautiful out there. Beautiful day. They had about 38 teams, so it was almost sold out. I think they said they could maybe take 40 to 42.
Wow.
Put a couple extra on those par 5 holes, but it was a great tournament. Cam Young was there. Trent Young, his son, they ended up winning it in the shootout. And so they had a different winner on the one course and a different on the other. Then they had a one-shot shootout closest to the pin, and Trent Young, I think, won that. He played quarterback at Tech back in 2015, I think it was. And Cam was before that, way before that. So, yeah, it was good to see so many of those ex-players. D'Angelo Hall was there, John Engelberger and Keith Short, Jerome Preston. There was just a bunch of ex-players there. It was a great time. We had fun and took a bunch of pictures and had a great meal. And Bud was fantastic. They raised a lot of money for the foundation, and some of the auction items went for big bucks.
Good.
Yeah, it was awesome. So good time. It was fun.
Well, I've been waiting to kind of talk about what you watched Saturday against Wofford. We kind of knew how that game was probably going to go, Mike, but how did you feel like they handled their business? I know, Kyron got into a flow. They didn't really have much of a challenge defensively, but how did you feel like Tech got through that game? You think everything the way it needed to happen kind of happened getting ready for the ACC?
Yeah, I think so. I was glad of the fact they got a little aggressive there in the first, when they went down the field and went for it on fourth down, even though they didn't get it. They came back and scored after. But yeah, I like the mix, the play calling. I thought was good. The Wofford defense was kind of a bend don't break defense. They were going to put those safeties back there and trying to challenge Kyron Drones, and he did a nice job going through his whatever you call that. He was going down through his check downs, and he made those check downs great. And so I thought he played really well. He threw for over 300 yards, and he didn't try to force the deep ball because they were not going to give that up. So, I thought he hit the check down receivers very well. They ran the ball okay. I thought Hawkins did a great job running the football. He had, I think, almost 80 yards in the game. And so I think the patchwork offensive line did a good job opening up some holes. And the defense just swarmed. From the opening kick on, they had -1 yards rushing, 141 total yards. So you couldn't ask much more out of your defense. So, yeah, I thought they got the job done, played with more energy, more passion. The crowd was good. And for a noon game, sometimes you worry about the energy early, but I thought they came out and set the tone and did a nice job.
You mentioned the patchwork offensive line, Mike. Are they starting to get healthier now? Are we starting to see some improvement there?
Coach talked about that they were trending in the right direction, so that's a good sign. You just don't know. Those young guys are good. The good thing is they're getting a lot of experience, so that's good. The guys like the Aiden Lynch and some of those. But Brody Meadows, he's been slow recovering. Muskrat, same thing. But they did get some other faces in there on the offensive line because you can play 4 games, now with this redshirt rule. So, yeah, I think they're working hard and trying to get better and trying to get that rotation down. And the fortunate thing is they got some guys that can play multiple positions. It was good to see Montavious Cunningham come back.
Yeah.
That was a big plus. That helped. And so, yeah, I think, they're getting better in that regard. Just, that open date coming up here soon will certainly help matters to get that extra time as well.
The Virginia Tech Hall of Famer Mike Burnop joining us on the program. His appearance brought to you by Louise Baker, Team Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382, nrvhomes.com. Along with Mike, Louise Baker, one of the finest human beings I've ever known. We know Louise is great. We appreciate her.
Yes, we do.
Man, a lot going on. It was 2-3 weeks ago. You talked about how Bruce Arians would be glad to be invited. I laughed out loud yesterday when they were acting like they were breaking news on the McAfee show. I'm like, Mike's already told us he was going to be involved, right? You had it. Good news for Tech fans to finally get somebody else, I guess, saying it. But Bruce Arians is willing to help out any way possible. And boy, when you get guys like that are willing to help, that's going to make all this transition, I think, go a little more smoothly.
BA is he's so connected with coaches from all the stops he made through the years. And he's got great connections with a bunch of NFL coaches and college coaches and coordinators and this, that, and the other. And, I think he'll do a great job on the committee, trying to help them out, get them going in the right direction. And it's like he talked about yesterday, let's get a general manager, try to figure out what we're going to do with that first, and then worry about hiring a head coach. So, yeah, I think they got a nice process going, and he'll be a good asset for that committee. And I'm happy as heck that I knew he'd be willing to do it, and was happy to do it. And so, yeah, that was kind of fun to see.
Well, as we move forward now into conference games, NC State, they can score it. They have a running back. Coach Montgomery mentioned it yesterday. One of the elite backs, not only in the conference, but in the country. Feels like that's what this game could come down to because, Mike, to be honest, I've watched NC State enough. I think Tech has a chance to do a lot of things offensively against this defense, but can they stop that Cowers kid from just going nuts like he does every game?
That's the thing. I mean, you look at that offense, and it's like, well, first of all, it's the team. I think they kind of escaped those first 3 games. They could have lost all those 3 games. They came back and seemed like they won them. They, were trailing in most of them and came back and found a way to win. Well, Duke, they were up big in that game, and that one didn't work out well for them playing at Duke. So give Duke credit for that. They put up a bunch of points on them. And so, the turnovers got them. C.J. Bailey was a little bit loose with the football. And so that's the thing. I mean, if you can make him uncomfortable and stop Smothers, the run a little bit, I think they got a good chance. You never know. I mean, Charlie Wiles is still down there as a defensive line coach, and he'll have them fired up and ready to go, I'm sure. But, yeah, they're definitely beatable. I mean, I think you saw that last week, and you saw it in the previous weeks that, they were kind of living on the edge a little bit. And it caught up with them last week. So, what mindset are they going to have, going into this game? So for the Hokies, getting that momentum from last week, getting Kyron Drones going back comfortable. I thought he threw for over 300, threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 2. And I thought he was solid in the game. So hopefully they can protect him enough to get him going and get that running game going. Hopefully Stewart will be able to come back and play and complement Hawkins. And I thought Prelo, man, little PJ, he did a great job in that game.
Yeah, he did.
7 targets, 7 catches, and he took some shots too, man. And he was effective running the ball. So, yeah, he's another element with a different skill set. But I think they got enough weapons on offense with the Greens, Benji Gosnell, the tight end, that they could challenge that defense for sure. It's just a matter of, can Virginia Tech's defense get out and smother that run like they did last week? It's obviously a different animal with different athletes, but you hope that they can take that as a learning experience and build off of it.
And first true road game, I know going to Atlanta, they had to face a South Carolina dominant crowd, but still, this is the first time they've gone into somebody's house, so that'll be interesting to see how they handle that. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, NC State does a great job with their crowd. I mean, I think that's one of the better atmospheres in the ACC when you think about road games. Especially in the state of North Carolina, it's probably the best. Carolina's kind of up and down, whatever. Wake's a smaller stadium, and they've been on tough times here a little bit. And then you look at Duke, their home crowds, usually Virginia Tech has the crowd. So NC State, they do come out, they support their team. It's a great playing surface, great stadium after they renovated it a few years back. Hokies hadn't been there since, I think, 2022. So, yeah, it'll be fun to get down there and let these guys experience this first away game atmosphere. Mike Burnop joining us on the program. Of course, his appearance made possible by Louise Baker. It's the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster. Give her a call. She'll help you in any way possible. She's helped me and my brother. We lost our mom, and our property was a bit. And you know how it is, Mike, dealing with properties. I mean, you have somebody like Louise who's so community-oriented, man. It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the interest rates got cut the other day.
You kept saying that.
I knew that was going to happen and probably might happen another time before the end of the year. I'm sure she's getting people riled up and ready to go. And come on down and see Louise. She'll hook you up. She'll find a place for you.
Mike, I probably had 10 questions on the text line, so I'm just going to ask you about the portal. And what are you hearing about player? People are wondering, we haven't seen a bit of influx of names go in. Is this something that's a process? Are they waiting till the next check? I mean, what are you hearing about kids in the roster right now? Because a lot of people are very curious and kind of confused because I thought maybe we'd have heard more, but we really haven't so far.
Well, I think one of the signs yesterday was the fact that they gave out the game notes and there was no too deep in it. Okay, so Coach Montgomery touched on a little bit saying, some of these talks are still going on. So I think it's still somewhat of a work in progress as to what some of these players are going to do. I thought Kelvin Gilliam, KG, was great when he opened up the door of the Merriman Center and said, hey, if you don't want to be here, get out. And when he talks, people listen. And so I know there's some of that stuff negotiating still going on. We don't know who may or may not be in that mix. You know, you hear rumors about a couple of people, but you don't want to say anything until it happens.
Sure.
But yeah, I think we're going to see some more of it. Hopefully, it won't be as many as some people thought. But we'll have to just wait and see. I mean, some of these kids have different mindsets, attitudes, needs, wants, higher profile of themselves. You know, they think they can do better. Some of these agents will get in their ears and say, hey, you know, you can do better somewhere else next year. So you just never know. You got to wait and see.
That's right, and that's interesting. That's a good note that's a good thing for to know that they didn't have the too deep filled out like normal. That's a sign, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. As you peruse the league, obviously one of the big stories, obviously the success of Miami and Florida State and Georgia Tech, but Dabo Swinney looked completely defeated the other night. He had no answers. He said the best we can do is just let this one go and try to figure it out. Did you expect to ever see Clemson in this state this quickly? My goodness.
All the hype that they got in the preseason, all the love they were getting, they're going to play for the national championship.
Yeah.
Oregon. I mean, yeah, that's all you heard about, Clemson. And, he kind of had a little bit of a sheepish grin on his face during the ACC media days and all along, and they kept yakking and talking about it. And like now, it's reminding me of Florida State from last year. When they won 2 games, and I think Clemson will rebound and win more than that. But some of those players must have checked out on him. I mean, they're playing a home game like that and getting rolled by Syracuse. That's tough. And those fans down there, they'll get uneasy quick with that kind of stuff and the attitude he has. Oh, we've won so much. It almost reminded you of like Duke. Who's the coach of UVA? They've won so much.
Right. Right.
And so Dabo was talking about, yeah, we won. And all we've done is won here. All we've done is won. 8 out of 10. Well, what have you done in the last 3 weeks? And so, I think the heat's on a little bit down there, and they got to rebound quick. That is the surprise of the league this year. I don't think he'd flip it over on the other side. It's UVA on the other side. I mean, they played well. They just rolled Stanford the other day, and Stanford was coming off a nice little win. But, again, traveling across the country, that takes that out of you, I'm sure, makes it difficult. So we'll see what they do against Florida State this week. That should be a heck of a game, a good atmosphere. And, they're real. They'll show it up this week.
Well, and that's what we're just talking about with Teel. If they can't make that an atmosphere on Friday night in Charlottesville, they may never do it again. That should be a big event for that campus and that school. And I hope they get it right they need to get that right. So
yeah, they've had a good year, and if they could go in there and win that game, that would be pretty special. That would crush Florida State, but yeah, that's a great opportunity for them for sure. Florida State's good.
They are good.
Well,
yeah, they are good. And and David mentioned the bad record against the P4s, and it kind of shot down my theory. I think the league has looked pretty strong. I think it's got a good secondary level of teams too, beyond the big 3. They do need to be better out of conference. There's no doubt about that. But this league is much better than you thought it would be without Clemson being part of it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look how good Cal's played. I mean, they're playing great. UVA's playing great. It's like the teams that you thought were going to be good, maybe not quite as good, like the Florida State, or not Florida State, but like Clemson. The Florida State's played well. Miami, what are they, 1 or 2 in the country? I mean, they're really good. And NC State was playing riding high, winning those games at the last minute. UVA was. I think Duke was a little bit disappointed in the way they played against Illinois, but they came back and got a nice win against NC State. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those days you better show up and play and bring your A game, because in this league there's enough parity that you can get beat any week. And I think that's got to be the Hokies' mindset here coming up. They got enough players and enough bodies to be able to win if they put it together. But they're going to be adversity. They're playing on a first true road game. They got to handle those things and learn from the mistakes that they made against, South Carolina when they were on the road in a big crowd, and play a 4-quarter game, complimentary football like they did last week.
You saw South Carolina; they have not been good all year. And I watched Missouri. Missouri ran for almost 300 yards, and you mentioned this many years ago when we started doing this together on the old show. That's how you watch up front. If you just see somebody getting worn out every play and they don't really change the blocking schemes of the play, that they are beaten. And boy, South Carolina has looked absolutely that way the last 2 weeks against Vanderbilt and against Missouri.
Yeah, and they won't put up with that down there too long, right? They'll get frustrated for sure, and the seat for shame might get a little hot. And I don't know who they got left, but I don't think Sellers has played as good as he should have or in the course of the year. He makes some stuff that you scratch your head, just like C.J. Bailey. You think, what was he thinking there? Like not throwing the ball away and taking the big sack and all those sorts of things. I mean, those are the things that get you beat when you lose field position like that. You get way behind the sticks, and that's something that I think the Hokies did much better last week. They were 6 of 11, I think, on third downs. Those little things like that add up. But again, that was Wofford, not NC State. And so same thing for South Carolina. They got to get that thing right quick because their schedule is just brutal when you move forward in that league. So, yeah, things can get changed down there and get hot. They don't put up with it in that league.
Yeah, he really needs to beat Kentucky at home this weekend. He does.
Yeah,
well,
got a good team.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. And, I was talking earlier, Philip Montgomery could make this fairly easy, right? If he does something with this Tech season going forward, everybody's talking about all these candidates. Well, that guy, you mentioned it right now. Every week he's tweaking the resume for, this guy, he's been a head coach before. We don't know yet. We don't know what he might do with the rest of this ACC season, right? He might make himself right there as the head candidate before all said and done.
I'd love it. I think he's a great guy. He's got a good family. I just think he's done a fantastic job in some tough circumstances so far. And, I think that would be good. It was, it's kind of funny. You never know what the committee might be looking for. I was texting Don Strock yesterday, and he was talking about every ex-player thinks he can be the head coach. Like D'Angelo Hall was talking about, I'd love to be the head coach. Well, D'Angelo hadn't coached anybody yet, right?
No.
So I don't think that's going to happen. As great as an ambassador he would be. But, yeah, I mean, you need experience and all that sort of stuff. And so, it's like it's going to be fun to watch the process. I mean, there's so many names out there floating around. There could be somebody totally under the radar that could be in the mix. You just never know. So it's going to be a fun process to watch. And Monty could certainly make it interesting, too, if he goes on this little streak and gets a bunch of wins.
He could. Well, Mike, listen, we appreciate you as always. I'm glad you guys got back from your trip, and we want to thank Louise Baker again for helping bring Mike part of this program each and every week. The Louise Baker team, Long and Foster, give them a call. They're the best realtors around. 540-320-0382. When are you guys heading out to Raleigh?
We're going to leave on down there Friday morning and finish getting set up and do our Bojangles preview. And then we're going to eat dinner somewhere about 5 o'clock just so we can get back and watch a UVA game and get ready for Saturday night. I was shocked that game was a Saturday night game. Boy, you talk about bad viewership going up against Georgia and Alabama. That's a night game, right? And then Pittsburgh in a night game. I mean, it's like, how many people are going to be on the CW? I was hoping that'd be a noon game. We can get on back to Blacksburg.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting it's on the CW as well. So,
yeah.
All the more reason to listen to Roth and Burnop on Saturday. But,
we had a bunch of listeners last week with no TV.
That's absolutely, you did. Absolutely.
It's been fun, just going to Richmond and that thing. There's so many people talked about how they listen to the broadcast and don't listen to the TV. And, yeah, it was fun to see so many ex-players and great fans and alumni and supporters. That was a good time.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a great time. And I hope you guys have a good time this weekend because we'll be happy next week talking about it.
Yep, sounds good, Rick. I appreciate it.
Safe travels, brother. Yeah.
Okay. You take care now.
Hey, by the way, we got Rags and Marty back tomorrow, and Rags fixed his camera.
No way.
Yes.
He's going to be on live and in person?
Yeah, we're going to see
Technology? Did you have to go over there and help him?
Well, we did set it up and do it last night. Yeah, we did.
Wow. Marty probably had to go to his house and get him set up.
Send the ESPN guys over there. Yeah, exactly.
I love Rag. He's the best.
He's the best. All right, man. Have a safe trip.
Okay. Thanks, Rick. See you now.
Thanks, man. All right. There you go. Mike Burnop, the Hall of Famer. Good stuff, as always. Very, very interesting. Great conversation with Mike. Yeah, I mean, Mike had the Bruce Arians news here, the tip here a few weeks ago. I mean, everybody's like, oh, my goodness, did you see what they said? Well, yeah, we, We knew that. We knew that. Mike told us that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be fun. We're going to have Andy and we're going to have Marty and Rags. Take two. Marty really enjoyed. Marty told me he's gotten more reaction from that from around this region being on this show than he has in a long time with anything, because people were just talking about it, the Giles people, Pearisburg people, and everybody. So it's great. So he wants to do it again. We're going to do it tomorrow. So it'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun. And thanks again to Louise Baker for all of her support, helping bring Mike each and every week part of the program. Now, that's great that they had such a great time at the golf tournament. That's a lot of fun. Glad to hear it went well. Those are great events, great events. And Mike's a great ambassador to go to places like that. We shall see. We shall see how it all plays out going forward. And what he said about, when people keep bringing up Shane, and, Shane's he's been on the radio show a couple of times. I didn't really know him before that. But there's something not right with this season down in Columbia. And it didn't look good against Tech. I mean, it's a 10-8 ball game. If Tech doesn't allow have the mistake on special teams, who knows how that game goes, They didn't look good against South Carolina State. Kind of stood toe-to-toe with them for a couple quarters. And then they've been rolled the last 2 weeks. They got a big, big one coming up for him, I think, on Saturday evening against Kentucky. They better get that one done. Yes, Rags and Marty tomorrow will be straight fire, Jason. No doubt about it. The best part about Coach was, he's thinking like a coach, and he was talking about that yesterday. He's like, I want to be prepared. I don't want to come on. He has that voice still. And so I sent him a link and we did the test and it all worked out. And it was great. It was great because he he wanted to make sure. He goes, I felt like an idiot. What he said. He said, I just felt like an idiot. And he goes, look at me right now. I'm on camera. Look at this bag. He was doing this. I got the bags in me. I look like a raccoon. That's what he said. I said, you look great, Coach. You look great. So we'll have them tomorrow. That'll be in the second hour tomorrow. Hokies rock. After the U game, it was obvious that South Carolina isn't that good. Shane in trouble. Yeah, and Mike just said it. So everybody who's been clamoring, he won the poll last week for who would like to be the head coach. And I kept telling you, if he loses Saturday night to Kentucky, it was just 2 years ago that they had an organizational thing with the money donors. We talked about it on the radio show that they were trying to figure out, okay, what's the buyout? Now, he rebounded. They had a great year last year. He got an extension. Shows you how results are the only thing that matters. Wins is the only thing that matters, especially in that league. But how it can turn back and forth. And if they lose at home to Kentucky, what's the spread of that game? Let me look it up here. By the way, someone asked earlier on the professional door text line. Tech is 10.5-point underdogs right now at NC State. Kentucky's 7-point favorites at home. So they're expected to win fairly comfortably against Kentucky. So South Carolina, 7-point favorites at home. I may have said that wrong a minute ago. Yeah, South Carolina's favored by 7. I don't know, Zach. I don't know how close it got. I know there was lots of money that was being offered. And this year they were preseason number 13. And they've looked anything like a preseason top 25 team. They kind of remind me of Clemson. P4 football in the state of South Carolina, at least those two versions, not living up to expectations. Dabo has a $60 million buyout, so good luck with that. I don't know why any school would have done that, but they did. They did down at Clemson. So we'll see what happens. But they have been beat up. Now, Missouri's defense is kind of up and down. They moved the ball, ran the ball some on their own, but they could not stop. Missouri did not hide what they were going to do. We're just going to run. We found our weak spot. We're going to keep running the same play. And they almost ran for 300 yards. They could not stop it to save their life. Either they couldn't adjust or they didn't have the personnel to adjust, which I think is concerning because Jen has said it here on the show. South Carolina spent more money on its roster than they ever have. I mean, they're in the double digits of millions of dollars commitments to those players. And that adds even more pressure. It's what we were talking about with David and with Damien. I mean, the money involved, there's just no patience left. So if you're watching the Tech game, I think it starts after the Tech game. It's kind of like the same scenario when Tech was playing ODU. I think Tech game starts at 7, and then you've got that. But there are a lot of good games that night. He mentioned Georgia and Bama. It's a big week. There'll be a lot of things to watch, but that might be one you want to keep an eye on. See how that one goes. I mean, they're at home Saturday night. You would think they would beat Kentucky. Kentucky's no great shakes. They're not bad, but they're not, by any means a great team. Another fun day. I want to show you this one more time, peeps, because I know there's new people that come in to the program. But we do have our T-shirt mock-up. We want to thank Brandon at Top Shelf. I've been showing this to everybody, and that's what he has come up with. Logo looks great. I think that color gray seems to work. And you just let me know if, you're basically the ones who designed it when I put it out there. Someone brought up the QR code. I don't know if the QR code becomes ineffective. Maybe it does if it goes through a couple washes. But nonetheless, that's the basic outlay of the shirts right there. You've got the Prime logo on the back, which what you wanted, and I get it. And then on the front, it's kind of the secondary logo on the chest. So I think that's what is the leader in the clubhouse. And you can let me know the rest of the week, yay or nay, what you think about the shirts. I thought they looked really, really nice. I want to thank all of our guests today. Thanks to Keon Brown. Always a great start to a Wednesday when we talk to KB. Damen Sordlet, David Teal, and Mike Burnop. Please, Wayne says when you scan the QR code, it shows Selma Hayek. Maybe so. Wouldn't you like it to show Selma Hayek and it say subscribe for free in her voice? Yeah. Although I don't think she would be free. Speaking of subscribe, please like and subscribe and share the channel. We hit the first benchmark. It's amazing. And thanks to Wayne, he uncovered that you can actually contribute to the program with a badge or super chat, whatever it is, once you hit 500. If we get one person who subscribed to get one other person to subscribe, we can hit 1,000 pretty quickly. And when I hit 1,000, I've got a 3-year guarantee here on YouTube. That's part of the contractual signage. So let's get there. And remember, it's free. Remind everybody it's free. Tomorrow, you don't want to miss any show, I hope. But tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. We'll have Andy, Marty and Rags. Enough said. The White Vic. Yeah, that's a banger. That's a banger on a Thursday. Oh, yeah, it's true, Paul. Or subscribe from your wife's ID. We got you, Frankie. We'll let you know about costs and so forth once we get them made, but I think that's what we're going to go with. Yeah. Hoagie's Rock says, get more views if you AI Selma onto the show every day. Well, we do have this. And now, I will go a little long to show Selma. There we go. We do have Selma. Imagine that walking down your football hallways on game day for inspiration. And then, of course, you have more of the village, kind of the cute girl next door wave there from Selma. There you go. There you go, Hokies Rock. Anyway, thank you so much for your support. It means the world. Wouldn't be here without you. Please continue to support the program in any means that you feel necessary. And just please get people to like and subscribe and share and like our videos. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and thanks for getting me through the day. Didn't feel good today, so it was great. Got a new energy when I started talking to peeps. We'll see you tomorrow. Big Thursday. Don't forget Andy Bitter, Marty and Rags, and the White Vic. We'll see you then, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.